Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today I'm doing another Armada build, and it's going to be a double Starhawk build because there has been some discussion on Twitter about how many Starhawks you should get, and I think the vast majority of people will probably just run a single Starhawk, but I made the argument that 3 is the number that you should get, primarily because the Battle of Jakku had 3 Starhawks. And 3 is kind of a good number for them. However, I got to point out that you can't actually fit 3 Starhawks into a list. Look, you can go with the cheaper model, you duplicate it, and then duplicate it one more time. You're already over the cap. So you can't exactly do that. And okay, I have to acknowledge that. That's just not a thing that we can do. However, I have an alternative win condition here. We run 2, and I think I will probably at least get 2, but I think I'm going to get a 3rd at some point because I want to be able to recreate the Battle of Jakku. But for right now, I figured I'd say, hey, a lot of people are talking about running 2 Starhawks in a build, so I've had some requests, and I think we're going to kind of tackle that today. So which Starhawks should we run? Well, I think to try to tackle this best, we need to run 2 different Starhawks. 2 different Starhawks. Now, we're going to run one as the Mark 1 and one as the Mark 2. Now, I'm going to point out one obvious thing with this particular type of build is that I'm not going to be using the Magnite Crystal Tractor Beam Array. And the reason for that is with 2 Starhawks, you don't have a whole lot of room for other things. And I feel, again, this is still early. This expansion isn't out yet. There's still cards we haven't seen. But I feel like with the Magnite Crystal Tractor Beam Array, to be able to make this really work and slow down to speed 0, you need to have a strong first player bid, and you also want to be able to last in, first out. So I feel like this works primarily best with a single Starhawk and then a couple of flotillas and cheap ships to pad activations. You want to probably have 5 activations if you can, so you can stall long enough to go last and then first. And since in a 2 Starhawk build, that's not going to happen. At least in this build, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be using that super weapon. So we're going to use different ways to run Starhawks. And I also do want to remind you guys, there are still time to enter to win the 12 Days of Life Day giveaway. I am giving away lots of surprise gifts. And if you want to win one of those, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Okay, so let's go ahead and decide that I'm going to go with a Mark 1 first. Now, most of the titles only work with a Mark 1, and I'm going to make this one my flagship as well. Let's go ahead and put Kirsta Agate on this particular ship. The flagship is a good option for her because, well, that's what makes it my flagship, but also she's going to basically give us a lot more survivability. And this being the more close range option, the version of the Starhawk that has more black dice, that wants to be in a little bit closer to the action, I feel this is a good option for this particular ship. It's also going to get shot a lot. This is going to be a 2 ship build, and I'm going to go ahead and drag the other one out here right now. And I am using Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder, by the way, so if you guys are curious what I am using to do these builds, it's a website called Ryan Kingston, or armada.ryankingston.com. I'll put a link to that in the description below, but it is very mobile friendly, as well as being desktop friendly as well. But I love the visuals that it gives you here. So we are we've got the flagship here, and this one's going to kind of go in first. And one of the things I'm going to be putting on this one is also the title of Concord. This one is just so crucial, and in the recent Armada Prime, I got set to speed 0 twice due to negative crits that allowed my opponent to reduce my speed, and so I really feel the pain of being stuck at speed 0 against your will, and especially considering you also might run up against other Starhawk builds, people running the super weapon to reduce you to speed 0. Concord here, I think, is probably the best title available. situationally, of course, but currently I think it's my favorite title for the Starhawks, but this one is Mark 1 only. Now, it does one thing, it lets you spend a token at speed 0. The other thing is it gives you another salvo defense token. So you're going to start with 2 salvos, and in a 2-ship build, you're going to get shot a lot. So having salvo is going to be great because it's going to allow you to return fire and really maximize the number of attacks that you can get. So really a fan of that. And of course, Kirsta Gate is going to give you the option to get maybe even a 3rd salvo, although I think honestly you're going to take a 2nd brace because that's what you kind of have to do for your flagship in this case. I think you got to go for the brace. You got no ECM, right? So you're going to make it really hard on your opponent to try and, accuracy out 2 different braces. So that's what we do. Kirsta Gate probably going to give a brace, and then we'll go from there. I kind of like this starting setup. It makes for very tankiness, very, very much tankiness. Now, one of the things, since I mentioned ECM, this ship does not have the ability to take ECM. ECM is an incredibly great defensive retrofit. It allows, your opponent to spend a defense token even if you get the accuracy. So what we're going to do to counter that, since I did see a lot of ECM this weekend, I'm going to put Intel Officer on here. So when we do get that shot, you go ahead and ECM and brace, even though I accuracy'd it. Because if you do hit that brace, you're going to lose it. So that Intel Officer is going to help us punch through those ships that we normally wouldn't have enough time to punch through. Intel Officer, just a great, all-around great card. You use it at long range when you're trying to stop those evades, and then use it at close range when you're trying to stop those braces. Or use it whenever you think you really need to use it. But you can use this once each turn because it's just an exhaustible. It doesn't discard. So that is really nice. For our other officer slot, I am going to try to help my other Starhawk and give it some rerolls with Torin Farr. Now, this one may be a little bit surprising to you because she doesn't do anything for this ship itself, but since my other Starhawk is going to be my real main anti-squadron threat, it's I'm going to have Torin Farr give it rerolls for that. Plus, it has a good amount of blue dice. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right. So what do we want to do here? I really like the idea of putting, this. There's a 2-point upgrade. Some of the guys at this Prime were talking about, and they said, consider MS1 ion cannons. It's a really, really cool option, right? And you can put that on either one. For this one, I decided I'm going to put this over on the other Starhawk. Torin can help fish for that blue crit if we need to, and that's just, and I'm going to do a cross build here because I want these two to work together. There's more and more options for this particular upgrade for the MS1 ion cannon that there didn't used to be. And it's become really, really cool. It's become a really, really cool upgrade card to have because it's only 2 points. But when you need, like, if you want to get rid of somebody's ECM, you can do that. You can exhaust an ECM on a shot that maybe it was a side arc shot that you didn't have that much damage on or something like that. It's just amazing. Or, Piet or something like that. You can just, there's so many different things that you can shut down, or an interdictor that's trying to do some nasty stuff. You can just, you can really exhaust an awful lot of things. And so I like the option of being able to do that. If this guy goes first, set up, let me cut down your ECM for this next shot, or certain titles or other things that are gonna become exhausted. It's just a pretty well-rounded card, and even if you don't use it, the points lost there is only 2 points, so it's not that bad. Now for the ion cannon slot on our flagship, we are going to actually go with a modification here, and I'm going to go with high-capacity ion turbines. Just adding extra dice, not going for heavy ion emplacement in this particular build, although if you want, you can totally swap it out for heavy ion emplacement. Thing is, we don't have blue dice rerolls here, and we don't have that many blue dice, so trying to rely on heavy ions on this particular setup, I feel like it'd be more frustrating than it's worth, because you have a lower chance of getting them. So let's just add more dice and just try to go for more damage. This way we're really spread out. Our front is nasty. Now our sides are actually kind of nasty too, and since we do want to get close with this ship, we'll probably be able to run, take advantage of those high capacity ion turbines quite a bit. And that is a fun thing. So, but since I'm trying to get in the middle of everything here, I'm not going to put gunnery team on this top one. Instead, I'm going to run Caitkin and Sholin, giving me some more versatility, so I can get a reroll. I'm only going to be able to do it once, but it's going to be, it's great to have it when you need it. It'll probably be for red dice, but you might use it for, for black dice. There's always that chance if you have a concentrate fire lined up. You can even use Caitkin and Sholin on your salvo attack. So that is a nice thing. And while it would be real nice to put the linked turbo lasers on anything with salvo, I think there's a lot of benefit to do that. On this particular guy, I'm going to put XI7. So in case we do get a really nice shot against so many ships that have double redirect, we can, where Intel officer might not be that useful. This guy with his black dice, he doesn't have, the ordnance upgrade. So you can't really put, the special ordnances for black dice crits. In this case, black dice are just straight damage. And one of the best ways to make sure that counts is to stop them from being able to redirect. And they're going to have to take that damage straight up. That's why you Intel officer the brace, and then you don't really worry about the redirect. And that's a really good combination between Intel Officer and XI7, because most ships, your standard, Star Destroyers and defensive ships like that, are going to have a single brace and 2 redirects. That's usually the way it goes. So that is, I think that is everything that we're putting on here. We've got our 2 officers. What else do we have? We could put a super weapon. I want to add one more thing. I'm going to add an offensive retrofit, and we'll put hardened bulkheads, because I don't want small and medium ships to be able to ram me. I want to be able to ram them. Yes, and so that's going to look good. Now, granted, this won't help me against the Super Star Destroyer or other large ships in general, but there are so many smaller ships that are going to try and get rammed or try to ram you or whatever. So it's 5 points. It can save you a couple of hull. I like it. It's nice. It's nice to have. In this list, it works. Now let's go down to the Starhawk battleship Mark II. This is going to be my longer range, so I kind of envision these two flying into battle mostly together, but with the flagship up front, with Kirsta Agate leading the charge, which is usually different than a lot of other ones, but she's great for it. She's all about getting up in there. This other one will lead, kind of take up the rear, and it'll be a longer ranged attacker. Now, the Mark II does have that red anti-squadron die, which is amazing. So right off the bat, I have to give it linked turbo laser towers. All right, and I'm also trying to work here to make these 2 builds, or these 2 ships, function differently, so you can kind of see some of the differences between these 2. It may not all be perfect, like maybe high capacity ion turbines you won't want to use. I can totally see that, but I'm trying to make them a different. Like this one can, the top one can get a shot out of just about any arc and make it good, whereas the bottom one's going to focus a little more on the front arc. And since we are going to focus a little more on the front arc, obviously gunnery team is how we're going to configure this one. So with the gunnery team on there, we have really good front shot. We also have, that front anti-squadron. As we're approaching the battle head on, and of course you're going to want to point your front arc. That's where all the shields are, and it's also harder for people to hit your sides because of where the yellow dots on the bases are. They have to really get around you to get that side shot. So and it's something that doesn't really show up very well in the fleet builder, because you can't see the base, but they have moved the yellow dot inwards quite a bit and made it a little more tricky for you to get a side shot on this. So with that said, front is definitely where you want to put the enemies. You want them in front of you. Gunnery team helps make that work even better, because you get the anti-squadron shot, you get that red die, and now you can re-roll the red die for the even if they're all at long range, you can re-roll a red on all of them. Fish for that double if you want. Really go for some crazy good stuff there. Since we are going to try and do some anti-squadron attacks, let's put General Draven in here. He's kind of like the Agent Callus for the Rebels. He just works a little differently. It's only 3 points, and anytime you're attacking a squadron with counter or intel, you get to add a die of any color to your attack pool. So in theory, you could roll 3 dice against a squadron, or 4, 5 if you're only attacking one squadron. If you want to use linked turbo laser towers, you're also going to be able to re-roll a red in your attack pool. Oh, and by the way, if you are attacking all those squadrons with a red and a blue each, you're also going to have Torin Farr right up here on your other ship, and she is going to be letting you re-roll every single attack, she's going to let you reroll a blue. So you're going to have tons of rerolls. You're going to be an anti-squadron machine with this thing, which is cool, but that's not all. No. That is not all. Well, no, that is about all, isn't it? Well, we're going to put a little bit more on here. We're going to also add another officer. This one is going to have the intel officer as well. That's right. I'm doubling up on intel officer because, again, we are not just attacking squadrons. We are attacking ships. And by the way, even if you do have a naggy squadron that's like, evading all your attacks or scattering, while attacking, after you roll your attack pool, you may exhaust this card to choose a defense token. If it's spent during the attack, discard that token. You can use this against a squadron if you want, which is a cool idea. Intel officer also works really well against flotillas. You try to go for that kill shot. All right, let me target the scatter. All right, go ahead and scatter it, but it'll be gone. It'll be gone. And so when I have that on both of them, it really allows me to really focus on one ship and, say, all right, brace this one if you want to, boom, and then follow up with the next one. So I like having twin intel officers. That one is really good. And also to protect against the ram, we're going to put hardened bulkheads on this one as well. So they do have some things in common, but we're only at 392 points here. So we have a moderately good initiative bid. If you really want to go first, you can make some changes. You could drop high capacity ions. You could maybe drop hardened bulkheads off of your rear ship because that one is farther in the back. You don't really need it there. Maybe swap it out for proximity mines. That's a 1 point reduction, or just leave the slot empty for a bigger reduction. You could do that. There's definitely a lot of room for tweaking different things on this particular build. Oh, you could even drop the Concord title if you really wanted to free up some more points. Maybe throw some squadrons in there, but this one, just ships. I feel like we've got answers for squadrons here with this one, gunnery team, and then shooting forward. We've kind of got that. And if this guy wants to do anti-squadron flak as well, he can do that. He can also intel officer. So even if he rolls a blue and a black and gets, like 2 damage against, some ace that wants to scatter, hey, intel officer. You've got those options. And that's good. But between Tor and Far and the linked turbo lasers down here, this bottom Starhawk is going to get so many rerolls, especially on those squadron shots, but also on its regular shots. That's one thing that the Rebels don't really have is some dedicated rerolls. Unless of course you want to put leading shots on every ship, but that makes you lose a die, and I'm just not a big fan of losing dice if I don't have to. So in this particular build, we've got 2 rerolls for every attack that this guy makes, and I'm kind of digging that. I like that. Now, we're going to look at objectives here. The objectives we're going to be kind of simple and straightforward with these. We'll go with, for assault, a lot of times I like to go with opening salvo or most wanted, but in this case, I've got to go with advanced gunnery. Since I don't have gunnery team on both of these, if my opponent wants to let me put advanced gunnery on a Starhawk, then that will be their folly because I can then, honestly, I have 3 really good strong arcs. Even if they're only in my left or right arc, I'm going to have a strong shot. Because even the left arc right here is 2 red, 3 blue, and a black. Because of high capacity ion turbines. Toss in concentrate fire, and it's just, that's an awful lot of stuff, especially with XI7 on top of that. It's 2 attacks in a row, and you can't redirect any of them. It's going to punch through. Could really kill a lot of stuff. So I like advanced gunnery here. I don't see an opponent really taking that one unless maybe they've got like an Akbar MC80 or something like that. In which case I think that'd be a really fun showdown. Take Starhawks against an Akbar MC80 type fleet. See if I can punch through the MC80 with them. And I think this might just be a way to do that, especially with Kirsta Agate keeping you alive. So what else do we want to run for our yellow? I'm going to resort to one of my favorite ones, and that's going to be Fleet Ambush. I have no squadrons, so it would completely negate my opponent's squadron advantage for deployment. It would also split them up, and since I've got so much punching power, it's really going to let me get, because that's one of the big things is these Starhawks are slow, right? They can only go speed 2. Now they do have slightly more yaw than the Victory class Star Destroyer, but not a whole lot more mobility than that. So having Fleet Ambush here is going to let me start out closer to my enemy and kind of make up for some of the loss there. And then for our blue, I'm just going to go with Solar Corona. Solar Corona is always a nice one, and I prefer that one over what's the other one that does the same thing? Superior Positions, because then they could potentially get behind me and start scoring victory points, and I don't want that. So I'd rather just go with Solar Corona. I think under most cases my opponent will probably choose Solar Corona here, just so this way they can, not get screwed over quite so badly by the other objectives. And then I just have to hope that I can start in a location that gets me within shooting distance of them before too long, and then I have enough time to punch through their ships. So those are the objectives. That's kind of what we're looking at. 392, decent build, decent initiative bid for first player. Won't always win your first player, but it will for a lot of games, and that's half the fun. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think. How many Starhawks do you think you might pick up? Let me know, if you think running 3 and doing a Battle of Jakku scenario would be pretty fun. I think that would be fun, because then you have to kind of look up and find out exactly how many ships they had there. And I have to say, it would probably be an incredibly lopsided battle, right? The Empire only gets, 2 Star Destroyers? I guess you could throw in... Did I say Battle of Jakku? Wait, I'm getting the Battle of Jakku and the Battle from Rogue One completely mixed up, because they only had 2 Star Destroyers there. No, Battle of Jakku had a lot more on both sides, so that would actually be a more even battle. That would be really fun. I think Home 1 was there too, so you could really do some fun stuff with that one. But it would be like a 2,000-point battle for sure. All right, guys, that's all I got. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Big thanks to my patrons who are going to be getting anything that is not claimed from the 12 days of Life Day giveaways, as well as their own giveaways. So if you're interested in that, check out the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.